And the truth is, motivation does not come first. And when we say this to
Hmm.
parents, they're kind of like their mouth flies open. They're like,
Yeah,
what? Identity comes first.
correct.
Kids aren't going to be motivated if they don't know who they are, what's important to them, what's purposeful to them. So it starts there. It starts with them learning more about what are my strengths? What am I passionate about? What's really meaningful and important to me? It takes that moment of slowing down and helping them go within a little bit.
That's right.
And once they start to really I start to identify, even on a surface level, some incredible things about themselves, then they start to feel purposeful.
Yeah.
Then they recognize how capable they actually are of accomplishing some of these goals.
Welcome to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast, where we explore some of the truly difficult questions and challenges that parents and their families face every day. Whether it's the sometimes painful process of parenting teens and young adults, navigating relationships with your partner and children, or you discovering your purpose in relationship with yourself, we will bring heartfelt and vulnerable conversations to the table to support and empower you. Our mission is to help you create a lifestyle full of love, passion, adventure, and influence. Here we go. All right, Erin, you ready to do this?
Let's rock and roll.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Extraordinary Purpose Podcast. I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Erin.
Oh, and we're so happy to be here today. Boy, Erin, what's going on these days?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question,
That's
babe.
exactly why I asked you, because I know there's a lot going on.
I know. Well, we should update everyone. We just have a lot of really incredible things coming up. I think your parents listening to this. So
Yeah,
I
they are.
think most parents of older teens and young adults are extremely busy this time of year. We have graduation coming up.
Ooh,
My son River is a senior, so he's graduating on a pretty special birthday for me. I'm turning 28.
that seems a little low.
It's a special birthday. And so we are just prepping for that. And more importantly, Chris and I have our wedding coming up,
The
that
Extraordinary Purpose
the
Wedding.
Extraordinary Love wedding.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we changed
Extraordinary
it to
Love.
Extraordinary Love.
That's
But
right.
yeah, I think a lot of people assume Chris and I are married because we've been together for so long. We've been engaged forever.
A long time.
And we're finally tying the knot this June, on June 16th in Puerto Rico, which is one of our favorite
Yay.
places. We're
Absolute
so
favorite places.
excited. And it's fun. We have a kind of an intimate wedding party, which is great. There's just about 20 of us all together.
Smaller the
And,
better.
but it's a destination wedding nonetheless. So just so much planning and booking venues and vendors from afar is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But we're excited. It's getting closer. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
We have a lot going on. We hope you are having a good time of the year too. This is an interesting time of the year, whether or not you're getting married and have graduations and stuff like that
Yeah.
coming up. It's the end of the school year for most of us. That can be kind of an interesting time of the year. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of feelings that come with that. There's also the build up to the S word, summer,
Yes.
which can be exciting and scary and a lot of different things. And we're going to actually be talking about that today because, well, that's why we're here, is we want all of us, not just, I think Erin and I are going to have a good summer, or
We're
at
going to
least
have a great summer.
we're going to have a great summer. We want for all of us to have a great summer. And that's the focus of this conversation. And then I just want to kind of just piggyback on that, because if we have a great summer, then we're going to have an amazing fall.
Mhm.
And that means when we go back to school, we're back from summer break, we're going to be stronger and more confident and more focused and more motivated. Pretty much all the things that I think we all want for ourselves.
Yeah, I think Chris and I being in this space of working with parents and families and teens and young adults, we've been doing this for many years. And so it's always about this time of year that there's just this real, I guess, mix of emotions
Yeah.
and fears and excitement from parents and from teens and young adults. And we, us with our own kids. But I was telling Chris that I've been seeing a lot, I'm in a lot of these mom Facebook groups and parents of teens and tweens and all of that. And I've been seeing this come up more and more in these posts of like, what are your kids doing this summer besides scrolling on their phone? And I'm just like, wow, was it come to that? And I think the majority of us parents, we want so much more for our kids. And I even think the moms who post that, it's just this desperation of help. What do I do? How am I going
Yeah.
to structure a summer and keep my kids motivated and influence them in a positive way? And so we always love to coach a lot this time of year just to really get ahead of the game and get parents ready and get our teens and young adults ready to have an incredible summer
Hmm.
because your summer is an opportunity, honestly, for a breakthrough. It doesn't have to be this breakdown of bad habits and self destructive behavior and kids sleeping all day and sitting on their phones all day. If we allow it to be, that's exactly what they'll do. And something that I rub up against, and I have been a lot lately, is this frustration with parents feeling helpless. Parents feeling like they don't know what to do. They
Right.
don't have an influence. And yes, we do have influence. Parenting, I just said to Chris, is a bitch more than ever these days
It's
because
not
of
easy.
technology and phones and stuff. But guys, we got this, right? We can
Yeah.
model so much more than we think we're capable of. And that's what we want to break down today is how do we set our kids up? How do we set ourselves up for an incredible summer that feels what? I'm at a loss for words right now.
Hopeful, optimistic,
Yeah.
just positive. And I think that's what a lot of us parents, we're afraid of the opposite is how it's gonna turn out.
Mm-hmm.
And the word that came to mind that you actually said is structure. The one thing that I think gets kids through the school year, gets parents through the work week, is when you wake up in the morning, you know what your day is going to look like, or at least two-thirds of your day. You know that you got to be at school at this time, your classes are here, you're going to be studying this subject, you're going to sports, or if you have a job, you know what that looks like and when and where and all the things that go with that. And then in the summer, at least for kids, a lot of that structure vanishes. And they wake up on day one with no structure and no idea what to do that day. No idea. And so what comes to mind is first and foremost, before we even get into the how and the why and all of that, is just understanding that the very first skill that we all need to practice, parents and our kids, is we need to get organized, we need to get prepared, and we need to create a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Without that, then there is no hope for the summer.
It's true, but with that, which is exactly the how and the why that we're going to dive into here
Yeah.
in a few minutes, is that your kids can wake up feeling purposeful,
Yes.
feeling intentional and motivated. They don't have to be sleeping till noon and then rolling out of
Oh
bed just
man,
to
that sounds so nice
scroll on their
though.
to scroll on their
Just-
phones and play video games all
right.
day. They can continue building confidence, creating healthy habits. And you as a parent with your kids, you can have deeper communication and connection this summer. So don't feel that this summer has to be adrift or that you're going to
No.
completely lose all of that communication connection with your kids or they're just going to be riding the wave of unhealthy habits. It can be a reset. And that's exactly what we want for all of you.
So summer is this opportunity, and it's an incredible opportunity. You have 3 months, sometimes more if we're talking about college students, but you have several months where there's so much opportunity. And the biggest opportunity, and this is for all of us too, by the way, is for us to learn more about ourselves, especially if we're a young adult. It's a chance for us to connect with ourselves and connect with each other, really spend some time doing things that we love and we enjoy. It's a time to have new experiences because all of that is going to help us start to learn so much about ourselves. We're going to start to build up our identity. And when it comes to figuring out what's my day going to look like and what's really important to me, everything starts with you knowing who you are. Because then you can identify what is important to me. What do I want to do with my time? Who do I want to spend my time with? Really, really important questions.
Yeah, because something we hear a lot from parents that reach out to us is my kid's not motivated. There's just zero motivation. That's
100% of
the
the time.
biggest. There's no motivation.
Yeah.
They're lazy. And the truth is, motivation does not come first. And when we say this to
Hmm.
parents, they're kind of like their mouth flies open. They're like,
Yeah,
what? Identity comes first.
correct.
Kids aren't going to be motivated if they don't know who they are, what's important to them, what's purposeful to them. So it starts there. It starts with them learning more about what are my strengths? What am I passionate about? What's really meaningful and important to me? It takes that moment of slowing down and helping them go within a little bit.
That's right.
And once they start to really I start to identify, even on a surface level, some incredible things about themselves, then they start to feel purposeful.
Yeah.
Then they recognize how capable they actually are of accomplishing some of these goals. The reason kids don't set goals a lot of the time, they have no idea how they're going to accomplish them. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of rejection. They're afraid they're going to look stupid. I mean,
Mhm.
adults do the same thing. So you can imagine that's why teens and young adults have a hard time with that. So that's the first step is who are you? What's important to you? And it doesn't have to be this big, deep philosophical question. It can be, but it can just be a simple question. How do I get started with that?
Yeah. And so, what pulls us away from figuring out our identity, figuring out who we are, so we can find our direction and identify our meaningful goals, the things that are going to bring us to life? And so, when we do, our kids go back to school in the fall, they have goals. They know what classes they want to study, they know what friends that they want to make, what clubs they want to join, what sports they want to do. A lot of that comes down to the time and the things that they're doing during the summer break to prepare them for those choices.
Mhm.
Now, what is holding them back from making those choices? It's right in front of us. It's our phones, it's distractions, it's social media, it's sometimes our friends. We spend too much time with our friends and not enough time just alone in a quiet space with ourselves, reading a book or doing something we enjoy, doing something creative. These are the opportunities that we have to get off our devices, because when we're on our devices, we're somewhere else. We are not where we need to be to feel good. Because remember, that's really what we're always talking about. The things that Erin and I talk about on every single podcast, every single conversation that we have,
Mhm.
the goal is we want for you to feel better, to feel good. How do you do that? You get yourself out of those distractions, out of those unhelpful thoughts, away from those people that drag you down and hold you back, and you start connecting with what really matters.
Yeah, because the problem is not laziness,
Right.
right? So we talked about motivation. Another one we hear a lot of is laziness. When you think about yourself, right? If I'm honest with myself, when I am feeling quote unquote lazy, or I could shame myself, or, sometimes
Hmm.
I'll say that to Chris too. It's usually because in those moments, there's just a lack of structure.
Yeah.
There's a lack of having a plan of action. And we're not saying by any means that your whole summer or their whole summer
Right.
has to be bullet points and a
No.
big plan of action every day. We're going to get into that in just a minute. It can just be some simple habits that are in place. And we're going to talk about 3 action steps that you and your family and your kids can take this summer. It's a lack of direction. When, like Chris said, it's too much dopamine. It's that constant need to feel good, that instant gratification in the moment. And that does for
Hmm.
kids come from screens, from friends, from social media, sometimes, unfortunately, from worse habits, vaping and drinking
Sure.
if the kids are starting to get older. And it's really just them feeling very disconnected from themselves. So, how do we change that? How can we
Hmm.
create some simple steps this summer that doesn't have to be all rigid, taking up your whole summer, but can just be some simple action plan? So, let's talk about number one. Number one are something that we call 3 non negotiable habits.
Hmm.
And this is something that you can do too, parents. And we highly suggest you do, because as we're always reminding parents, what we're modeling for our kids is really where our influence comes. Us going to them and saying, hey, I heard this podcast and I want you to start really implementing these 3 habits, like, period.
Hmm.
Instead of, hey, I have this great idea for us to do as a family. I'm going to do this with you, but we're going to really implement these 3 habits into our summer that's just going to help us all stay connected to ourselves, connected to each other. And you don't have to tell them what to do. This is a great way for you to give them some autonomy. Have fun, make this like a little bit of a game. Let them pick what some of these things are going to be. But the 3 non negotiable habits are: one habit for your body. And that can be fitness or a new class or stretching or getting out for hikes or anything like that. But it's something where you're moving your body in a different way. Exercise. One habit for your mind that can be meditation, that can be journaling, it could be reading a personal growth book throughout the summer. And one habit for discipline and structure. So, what does that look like? Maybe really implementing a healthy morning routine,
Hmm.
having an evening routine, doing evening check in. And again, you can have fun deciding what this looks like, right? Chris and I are throwing out some ideas to you, but they're small, consistent habits that you can implement every single day in these three different areas of your life that are going to make all the difference.
Right. And these are non negotiable. We're saying that you're going to hold yourself accountable to doing these every single day, no matter how you feel. No matter how you feel, because Erin said it earlier, like a lot of times, like, are you going to feel like getting out for a walk? Are you going to feel like going to the gym this summer? Now, I do because I love going to the gym, but it took me a long time to get to that point. So at first, you just have to understand that, you know what, you're not going to feel like doing some of these things. But once you get started and once you walk into the gym or you get out for a walk or you begin journaling or you begin reading, that's actually when you start feeling better. And I also want everybody to remember that in order for you to build your identity and find your purpose and feel better and all these really important things that we want for all of us, you first have to have this foundation built into your life. These three non negotiable habits are some of that structure, especially that is missing during the summer. And so now all of a sudden, when we wake up as parents or our kids wake up as young adults, they know, like, you know what, at the minimum, and we're going to get into a few more even before we're done today, but at the minimum, there's going to be 3 to 4 meaningful, important things that I'm going to do today that are going to get me up. They're going to get me moving. They're going to get me feeling good. Maybe if I'm reading a book, I'm going to learn something today. If I'm getting outside, I'm going to be able to get grounded and feel more calm off of my devices, because that's the other part of most of these is you're not on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about these non-negotiable habits, these are no technology. This is you and your journal, you and your book, you and your walk, you and nature. All right. You need those touch points throughout your day to bring yourself back to you so that you feel your best and so that you can then identify other things that you want to do that are important to you.
Yeah, so what that can look like really quick, because if some of you are listening to this thinking, oh, that sounds like a lot, like maybe it sounds like a lot for you to be implementing these things if you're
Right.
not used to having some of these rituals in your life, or maybe you're thinking, my child's never going to do this. This sounds like a lot to put on them. Let me walk you through really quickly what this could look like in your day. So, say you wake up, or say your young adult wakes up. They get to sleep in a little. It's summer, right? They get
Mm-hmm.
up at 10, maybe 10:30, 11 at the latest, but they get up. Get up, have a really healthy morning routine, maybe have a healthy breakfast, do some stretching, maybe get out for a walk. And then they read for 15 minutes, right?
Right.
We're not talking about reading for 3 hours a day. It's 15 minutes of a really amazing personal growth book. And then they go throughout their day. Maybe at some point in the afternoon, they go to a gym or a yoga class or go out for a run with a friend, something like that. And then maybe in the evening, you guys go for a walk together. You go for a walk as a family, you check in, ask each other how your day went. What was a win today? What's something you're proud of? What was a challenge for you today? It's that simple.
Yeah.
Maybe you do that over dinner together as a family, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be where it takes up your whole day or it's going to like rock your whole summer. These are small, simple, consistent. And that's the key word here is consistent and intentional habits that you build throughout your
Mm.
day.
Yeah. And I think, Erin, you mentioned this earlier too, is that this is something that we start talking about now. You don't drop this on the family or drop this on your kids on the first day of summer break
Mhm.
when they're excited and they're just ready to go and do whatever they think is the right thing to do. You start getting organized and prepared now. You sit them down at dinner when their defenses are down and you work together as a family to come up with this plan. Something that, by the way, you're all going to commit to. This is not just for our kids. This is something that we're all going to do. And as parents, we need to do because we want to show them the way forward. And we do that by showing up as a leader in all of us. And by when I say leader, I mean somebody that's going to go out there and, you know what, lead by example,
Yeah.
who is showing them that, yes, these are things that are important to all of us. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that there's also, of course, there's going to be resistance to this. There's going to be pushback and there might be some yelling and like this, there's no way that I'm going to do this. But the really interesting thing about any of these things is that even though there's going to be resistance, you have to understand that resistance is normal. We face resistance as parents. Our kids face resistance as young adults. And what we're going to learn is that when you face that resistance and you do that thing anyway, once again, that's actually the moment that you start to feel better. You start to realize, oh, I like going to the gym. I like working out. I like walking. I like reading. And then what's going to happen is you may have committed to doing it for only 15 minutes. That's when all of a sudden you may end up finding yourself reading for 2 hours. But you just have to get past that threshold. That's the most important part of this.
Yeah, and remember, parents, this is not meant to become a power struggle. When you introduce some of this to your kids, you are going to hear a lot of resistance, and
Mm-hmm.
this is why we remind you, you do it anyway. You start leading by example, and then you can ask them if they want to come for walks. Some of your kids are going to get really excited about this. Some are going to be like, I have no
Yeah.
interest. And of course, you can have incentives. It's okay to, if you really create a summer plan with me, maybe this is what can happen at the end of the summer,
Yeah,
or we
absolutely.
can do this at the end of the month if we both follow through. There's nothing wrong with setting incentives when you have goals like that together.
Right.
So the second action step is planning intentional family experiences this summer. And so again, this is something that we're introducing now so that you can consider how to implement these into your summer with your family. Now, I'm sure some of you have big trips planned and things like that, but we're talking about simpler things. And maybe you already have some of this going on. Things like just quick weekend camping trips together, days getting out hiking at a local state park or hiking trails, maybe a road trip or a train trip together, having dinners, tech-free dinners where you're just actually really connecting with each other, or some kind of outdoor adventures. And these are just some examples. You know your family. Maybe it's going to a sporting event, a baseball game
Mm-hmm.
together. Maybe it's going to the library together, whatever that looks like for your family. But really getting clear on planning 2 or 3 intentional family trips this summer, or experiences, even if they're just a few hours or a day trip.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And I just want to emphasize the key word with this is connection. Is you're planning intentional experiences and moments and little trips, not just so that you can have fun or get out in nature if you're going camping or get out to your favorite restaurant or your favorite ball game. You're doing it so that you get time together away from devices. And that's something that I know Erin and I have been talking about for a long time now. But a lot of these things, when you're off your phones and off of social media and sometimes away from your friends, you come back to yourself. And the longer that you are yourself and you're grounded and you're calm and you're having fun, you know what? You're going to start to build up that identity that we talked about earlier. You're going to remember, who am I? What's really important to me? What are the things that I really enjoy? Like when we're on our phones all the time, we lose connection with that.
Yeah.
And so all of these things are about getting our kids into environments where they're going to feel good, they're going to be themselves, they're going to come to life. Something that a word that I was using earlier was like sparkle. Like as parents, we see that light because we've seen it before in our kids. We know what they're capable of, we see their potential. I'll tell you what, the more time that we can get our kids off of technology and off of their phones, and we've seen this with our own kids,
Yeah.
right, Erin?
Yeah.
They come to life. They come back to life. And there
Hmm.
they are, and they're smiling and they're laughing and they're spending time with us and they're just being themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and that really brings us to the third action step, which is that word Chris just used, is getting yourself, your family, and your kids into environments
Yeah.
where they don't have as much screen time and access to all of
Hmm.
that. We took William and Skylar camping last year, and we're going to do it again this year. And we just had the best time.
Yeah,
And
we
when they
did.
are off their phones and out in nature and having fun, especially Skylar just became like a little girl again. And I know that was last year,
That's
but I
true,
think she
though.
still got it in there.
Just kidding.
But, this is kind of back to outdoor time and, really
Hmm.
starting to think for if you have kids that are just getting to that age where they can start maybe having job experiences or volunteering. I know my daughter wants to be a counselor at one of the youth camps
Hmm.
this summer. The gym that Chris and I go to, they have day camps and kids can volunteer there. So just getting them in environments and finding opportunities for them where they're putting their phones away, they're off social media, talking online with friends, gaming, and they're out there actually in environments where they're working or volunteering, being outdoors, finding any opportunity for them to be in those types of environments is huge.
Yeah, and I think that this is what we all need. So once again, you want to really learn more about yourself and you want to start to get clearer on your future, which who doesn't want that? Because that feels good. When you start to really figure out like, wow, these are some of the things that I think could be really exciting for me as I start to look forward. How do we figure out what some of those things are? We spend time in the summer trying new things and having new experiences and joining clubs and going to summer camps and yeah, working part-time jobs sometimes, doing something that we're interested in. I was a caddy on a golf course. I worked in a video store. Sometimes I worked outside. All of these things, when I retraced my steps of some of the different things that I did during the summer, they all were ingredients that became the person I became, my identity.
Hmm.
Now, in itself, you don't recognize it, but we're talking about today being a little bit more intentional about that. And when you're intentional about something, it means that you're a little bit more focused, you're a little bit more purposeful of why we're doing things. And that's why we're having this conversation today.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, parents, and you're thinking, there's no way I'm going to get my kids to be interested in some of these things, or I don't really know how to help them implement some of this. Chris and I really do such a big push this time of year with the young adults we coach.
Hmm.
And so this is such a perfect time for your kids to join the Extraordinary Purpose for Teens and Young Adults coaching program because we really set our clients up right now, all through the month of May into early June. We help
Yeah.
them really set themselves up with a great plan for the rest of the summer. And so we would love to talk with you about your kids, see if this is the right fit for them. The sooner they get going, the sooner we can help them structure out a plan for their summer. And like Chris said, especially as they are going into high school or going into college, or honestly, it doesn't really matter what they're doing, but to get them set up with an incredible summer, they're going to have a fantastic fall ahead. It makes all the difference.
Yeah. And I'm not just saying this because this is my passion and my purpose, and I know Erin feels the same way. If we could go back to when I was 16 or 18 or 20 even, or in my 20s, and if I could figure out what's something that I could do this summer that could make the biggest difference for me and my future and how I feel, my confidence level, my communication ability, all of that, my relationships,
Yeah.
I'm not joking when I say this program is the right structure, it's the right environment. We're going to get you or your children learning more about who they are, what's important to them, identifying their goals, going out and challenging themselves every week to meet new people and have new conversations and take on new experiences. Why? Obviously, we want for them to start feeling better about who they are and their place in this world, but also we know fall is right around the corner. And if they're going to college, they're going back for their senior year or junior year of high school. This is your chance right now to start preparing.
Hmm.
And you prepare by building yourself up, changing that identity, figuring out who you are, what's important to you, learning some of the habits. That's probably the biggest part of all of this is what habits do I need to support me? So when I wake up in the morning, I have direction and I know what to do and I know I have all the things that I need to overcome my challenges and keep myself moving forward.
That's right, Chris. Well said.
Are you being
I
sarcastic?
love you, babe. I love your passion. And
Thank
we
you.
are so passionate about this, as you can hear. So we're going to leave a link below to book a discovery call with me and Chris. We'll be talking to you personally. And we'd love to hear more about your family, about you, about your teen or young adult, and see if this is a good fit. We would love to welcome them into our program and get them set up for the summer.
Reach out today. Otherwise, we hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we're going to see you next episode. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Bye, guys. Have a
Bye,
good
guys.
week.
See ya.
We are so thankful for you and your beautiful family and hope you found something inside today's episode that brought you hope, inspiration, and most importantly, a path forward. If you're interested in evolving your relationship, giving your kids the most important gift of personal growth and development, or are a mom looking to reconnect with your confidence and become empowered in all areas of your life, then schedule a discovery call with us today. Our mission is to help as many families as possible find their purpose, and that starts with you. See you in the next episode, my friends.